Welcome back. Welcome back. This is Right Wing Rico reporting to you again from the Safe and Effective podcast. It's the 25th now of February 2025, and we're just going to go over a couple of topics. I it's the middle of the night, but I wanted to go over this one of these last videos. I've been getting these videos lately from people that wanted my opinion. And I told them I would give it to them, but it might not be necessarily what they want to hear because I just see things from a completely different perspective. As we know, as I've explained, we're at war with the World Economic Forum. There is something that's really happening to us called the Agenda 2025, where the world's population is supposed to be reduced. And the way they are doing that, besides using what Bill Gates said at his TED Talk, which is vaccinations, they are also pushing the LGBTQP trans agenda on children, which anybody knows, or I'm sure we've all seen. That means your children will never reproduce. That's the end of your bloodline. Also, because the lifestyle is very lonely, it is a divergent from how humans have lived since the beginning of recorded history. Most of the children, or most of the young boys especially, and women who join this lifestyle, they typically self-delete themselves by the age of 34. They do not live very long, which is sad, but it is common. The whole purpose of pushing the gay agenda on children is so that they will never have children. They will never have families. So there will be nothing for them to defend. There will be nothing for them to fight for. There will be no traditions to conserve in the first place. If you think about how humans live, everything we do is for our children. We plant trees today that we know we will never sit under its shade, but our children and grandchildren will. This is the first generation where that has been removed. More and more children are identifying as gay, trans, non-binary. It's a trend that should scare people. But if you're not looking down the line and you're not looking at the big picture, you will miss it. I will send this video, and it is a video of some young black kids around 15 years old at a birthday party, and there is a woman there who is a exotic dancer. It's young boys, and there's an adult woman dancing. She has clothes on, but they're throwing money at her, and she's putting on a show. So everyone sending me this video, and they thought I would agree with them that this is Tommy Sotomayor. Now I think I know who that is, but I'm not sure of his background. I don't know if he's married. I don't know if he's into women. But you got to be careful with, well, for one thing, anybody black on the internet. For the most part, if they're Democrat leaning, then they're pushing the gay agenda. To be black is to be gay. So when I'm watching this video and I'm like, well, these boys are 15. Last time I checked, the history of this country, boys as young as 14 were dying in battle. Most were adult men fighting and building nations at 15 to 16 years old. Now it's 18, but in most states in the United States, the age of where you're an adult, where you can consent to do things, is 16 and 17. So these are not babies. These are kids in high school. And they're looking at an exotic dancer being young men. This is what boys do. What Sotomayor wrote was an adult black female stripper dancing for 15-year-old boys at a birthday party. Now, how is this not an assault on these boys? Why is she not arrested? Why is it that black women can do this and aren't called sell out to raccoons, that they are work. Why does everything have to go back to somebody? There's not one white person in here, but white men live in this person's mind rent free. Again, I don't know them, but this is normal. Boys learn to become men from other young boys around them. That's how we learn about sex. That's how we learn about girls. It's awkward sometimes going to talk to your parents about these things, especially if you're a young man. You don't want your mom in your business. You don't want your dad to look at you funny, but you have an uncle who wants to take you to your first strip club. Your uncle who wants you to try your first beer with him. Your cousin who wants you to go, take you to a party and sneak you in. That's how you learn to become a man. It's these lived experiences as young boys. What I don't understand, what I don't appreciate, and this is what I've been saying to people, what I said to Tommy Mayor, whoever his name, I said, if you weren't speaking out against Drag Queen Story Hour or all age drag shows for kids in kindergarten, then it is very odd for you to feel strongly enough to complain about this. Rico, what are you talking about? How do 15-year-old boys getting a show from a naked woman damn near, how does that compare to the other stuff you're talking about? Well, remember, there's a depopulation agenda. The depopulation agenda is primarily targeted at Black people. I've told everybody there won't be Black people for long. You're looking at the end of the road for the Black community in the United States. They will not survive this, what's coming. For one thing, they vote Democrat. If you were a Democrat in the year of 2021 to 2022, then you loved and you were manipulated mentally by a woman named Kamala Harris. Joe Biden offered you jobs where you worked remote in the year 2020. Do you guys remember back when everybody was wondering, well, if I'm working from home, why do I need to be vaccinated? I'm not in the office. I'm not around people. I live way out in the middle of nowhere by myself. Why? It's because it was a trap. They didn't want to give it to all Americans. They wanted to give it to specifically Black and gay ones. This is what they meant by saving the country. So what they did in 2020 was they gave a bunch of unqualified Blacks and gays positions in government, jobs that were unnecessary. And what they did was they bought your life from you, and the cost of your life was whatever salary they were offering you to do nothing. You see right now, Trump is firing hundreds of thousands of people from the federal government, but yet our government isn't shut down and it isn't collapsing. Then that just means that none of the positions that people are being fired from right now were worth anything. So why were they hired? None of these people, a fun fact, none of the people that are being fired right now have been working for the government any more than 4 years. They were all magically hired during the lockdown in 2020 because they knew there would be a mandate in the year 2021. These are people who they don't have the merits or the intellect to hold a good job. But magically, they were getting jobs working for the government where no skills or no experience were required, and you were being paid basically to be an activist. That's why these people are devastated and just falling all over the place when they're losing these jobs. They didn't deserve the jobs in the first place. They shouldn't have never been working there. But they were. And now we know why. Now we know how they got these jobs. Let's see here. For example, I'll give you an example of the kind of people these jobs were hiring.
the fuck out. So where is other government agencies are really like standing up for their fucking employees and things? My agency decides to say, hey, the email is legitimate. Please send 5 bullet points of what you did. You know what I'm gonna send? I did my motherfucking job. That's it.
It seems funny. It seems hilarious. This is an actual real government employee, an imbecile, someone who serves zero purpose. As of now, she is sterile. However, the side effects include a permanent deletion, not too far from now. There, this was the best and most well orchestrated plan I've ever seen in my entire life. Like I always say, it's as if I'm in a new reality, and there's actually a version of me that's 30 something years older that actually put this together. That's how smart and intricate this was. In this country, we are holding on by a very narrow thread. Unfortunately, until recently, we've been basically subsidizing our worst enemies. We have been, for example, George Soros is said to have received, let's see here, George Soros, who's an enemy of the United States, is said to have received 200 and something $1 million. George Soros. So what they're saying is that George Soros did not spend his own money to corrupt our district attorneys in our biggest cities and turn our American cities into crime hellholes. They are saying now he didn't spend his own money to do that. He actually spent our money through USAID to destroy our own cities with corrupt district attorneys that we now have to remove. This went on for years. Why are we giving a multi-billionaire $260 million? If you think about it, what they did from USAID funding people that were literally attacking us on the inside, on a microcosm, that's what welfare does with this community, the gay community, and the illegal community. I am from a family of legal immigrants. We look at the country differently. However, the children of illegals grow up to resent and hate this country. When people are now protesting in the streets, their parents are illegals without citizenship, but they were born here. Welfare has been subsidizing and feeding these people who now grow up to hate our government and attack us from the inside. So the same way we subsidized George Soros to use district attorneys that he would finance so that they can win their elections to destroy our cities, our federal government is also using welfare to not just subsidize, but to enable people who will grow up to be basically terrorists against our republic to destroy us from within. From different angles, we've literally been destroying ourselves by enabling and subsidizing certain people, and it makes no sense. The depopulation agenda was somebody attempting a course correction, and it seems like they're doing a good job. Yes, we are villainizing Bill Gates. We villainize Fauci. We're villainizing Klaus Schwab. But when you stand back a little further and you look at what they are trying to do, they really are trying to remove the worst elements from the country the only way they know how. Again, I don't understand how you can be so against this video with these kids, but yet you have nothing to say about this video with these kids. This isn't. This is an adult man wearing an apron with no shirt underneath it, shimmying, teaching these young boys, young white males, to be gay. This man is also a pervert, and there's a 99% likelihood that he is a pedophile, attracted to children. A lot of parents don't know about this, but there are many parents who subjugate and take their children to these shows on purpose. This is in New Zealand. This is a Maori protest against. They're trying to do this right here to a bunch of brown New Zealand kids from the Maori tribes. And now they're storming this location where this is happening, where they're trying to save these children from pedophiles whose parents are donating them to them. And they're disrupting this event, and this event ends up being shut down. Good job.
You won't know why. If the reason is because you fled because there isn't a safe route, because you got on a boat because that was safer than being in the country that you are, I don't think the British public would think that's right. After all, don't forget, that was Mo Farah. It's easy to blame immigrants. It's much harder to recognize the truth of the matter. Absolutely, there are organized criminal gangs. We should work.
You know, they want to talk about everything else, but they don't want to bring up what's really going on. Again, how in the hell are you sending me videos of 15-year-old boys, 15-year-old boys who are throwing $1 bills at a woman? That's still heterosexual. That still is hetero and normal as it comes. You can complain to me about that, but you have no opinion on these disgusting, perverted men dressed as women with children sitting on their laps, reading to them, pretending, wearing bright colors, pretending to be normal, pretending that they're not mentally ill, suffering from gender dysmorphia, gender dysphoria, or homosexuality, which is also in most countries around the world still deemed a mental illness. You have no problem with this. You didn't send this to me. There are so many contenders. This is from Adam Ford. But Drag Queen Story Hour might just be the perfect microcosm of the runaway sexual deviance the far left has forced upon our culture and children at gunpoint while demanding we smile and applaud what everyone knows is pure depravity. So you have no problem with this sick pedophile right here. You have no problem with these men, with these children. But this right here is what you want to message me about. Young boys enjoying a woman. Boys who are about to be men. But when it comes to perverts and small children that are in first and second grade and as young as kindergarten, you have nothing for me. No footage, no comments. The depopulation agenda is for these boys right here. No one just wants to admit it. They used rappers to make rap songs. They used every black celebrity they could pay to push the vaccine on these people. It wasn't for everybody. But this right here is for the rest of the kids. A video of a British cabaret show for young children. Why do young children need a cabaret show? Has emerged featuring drag queens doing handstands in a thong. Let's not call them drag queens. Let's call them adult grown men pretty much being naked, dancing around in a thong in front of small children. The show is aimed at parents and their babies. The Cabba Brave The Cabo Cabo Rave has an upcoming show March 11th as part of the Vault Festival. Parents, and a lot of these are single women. There's no fathers here. There's a pattern. There's no men here. There's no fathers. There's one gay man I think I see over here. There's no fathers. This is a man in a thong walking around in front of little kids. Look at this little baby. Look at this is unbelievable. I did not know it would be this bad. This is insane. So everyone had all the smoke. So these are kids that are in kindergarten. I seen a baby crawling. This is a baby right here, crawling. This is the guy with the little. This is the same person, white hair. There's a crawling baby. So this is a problem. Boys being boys with a stripper, with a woman. But this is, you have no smoke for this. You have no opinion. You don't care. It's happening in your backyard. But I got hundreds of comments on that video back there with them young men. And let's look it up. Let's look it up. How old were the founding fathers during the Revolutionary War? Okay, so we have the years here. Okay, how old were they in 1776? A lot of them were in their early 20s. What wars have had teenage fighters? The Revolutionary War. Many soldiers in the Continental Army were as young as 14 to 16 years old. Andrew Jackson, which became one of our future first presidents, was a messenger boy at the age of 13. These are young men. These are young male adults. Being exposed to women can never be considered harmful or assault. I'm not saying you can be an older woman having sex or messing with these kids. That's one thing. Putting on a show where they're looking at women, that is a normal part of growth for a young man. This right here is not. This is perversion. This is sick. This is nowhere near the same category. I just don't understand why the video of the young men throwing money is evil, but this right here has none of the attention or nowhere near any of the outrage. There's a drag queen story hour, and guess who's on TV? Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. That is a man wearing a Christmas tree. Why do they only want to do drag queen story hours with tiny kids? They're not doing drag queen story hours for junior high or for high school or for college. They're doing drag queen story hours where they're wearing nothing underneath and being sexual. They only do it for children in elementary schools and younger. Why is this happening at a child's event? Do you not see that there is a problem, that you're outraged about those boys, but not this? An entire roster of mentally ill pervs targeting children, going on tour, starting in Austin. Yesterday, a blatantly sexualized show meant to groom children was hosted in Austin, Texas. Young child dressed as a drag queen. This is somebody's freaking son. This is the result of letting perverts have access to your son. This is the result of a mother who hates the father and wants to brainwash and join a club of abused children so that they can get sympathy and attention. This is somebody's son that will never have a son, that will never have children, that will literally delete themselves before the age of 30, long before. Once this boy gets past this phase and realize what he was doing or what was being done to him at a young age by those around him that were grooming him and molesting and hurting him, he won't be able to live with it. A lot of these victims, they do not survive in their mind. They can survive and live through the abuse, but mentally it drives them to a point where they just want to just wipe the slate, start all over again with a brand new life. They all of a sudden believe in reincarnation and believe in God, and they want to start all over by self-deleting. They tell you if you don't affirm this behavior, that's when the kids delete themselves, and they're lying to you. Affirming this is when when they're young, they grow up and they blame you, and then they delete themselves. These boys right here are there's no danger of them harming themselves after this show. This makes these boys want to grow up to become men. Maybe join the military, maybe, go get into the workforce so that they can have access to women, so that they can afford to get their own apartment, so they can afford to have money in their pockets, so they can be independent, so that they can attract women. Once you remove the whole purpose of being a young man, which is really just trying to gather resources so that you can attract the women that you want to choose from, if you remove that desire for women, then men lose any ambition to do anything. Women are the goal. That's what drives our ambition. Once you remove that, we become a waste on society with nothing to strive for. The goals we have in our lives of being successful and accomplished are just so that we can use those accomplishments to attract women. This boy will never have those problems. He'll never be able to experience that. And there's no parents around, just a bunch of adults who have another toy to play with. And since they can't reproduce, they need your children. They need to convince you that this is normal, but those boys back there throwing money on that girl, on that woman, is not normal. And that's the problem. Unbelievable. So you can't have it both ways. You're either going to have a 15-year-old son that's throwing money at a stripper, or you can have a 7-year-old son that's sitting on some pervert's lap who's dressed in drag, reading books to him that you should be reading. But you won't be able to have it both ways. You got to pick your poison. Obviously, you know what poison I would pick. I'm glad I have my big cousins around me who taught me how to be an adult, be a man, and taught me about women and what was normal and what I would want to do. As a kid, you don't know. You're impressionable. And then when you grow up and realize that you were given the wrong impression, there's really nothing else for you to live for. And that is the ultimate goal of Agenda 2030. And this entire population in these videos is being reduced, and we don't even realize what's happening. But they want you to be mad at this because these boys are likely going to like girls, and they're going to get girls pregnant, and they're going to have children, which is, if there's a depopulation agenda, you can't have children. You're not supposed to do that. So that's why they have to push so hard that you cannot be attracted to women. You can't do anything that will attract women. You're not supposed to be in spaces with women. If you're a man, but you're heterosexual and you're dating, they want you to think that you're toxic, that you're evil, that you're wrong, when really you're just being healthy. To like women and want to impress women is healthy. It's normal. This young boy can't go back even if he wants to. He doesn't even know what he's doing. He has no idea. You think school's a priority, or learning, or going to college? Absolutely not. This kid is a slave, a sex slave for some grown adult pervs who are funding this, and God knows where the parents are. This kid is probably this kid's probably a product of adoption. You see these men that come from this lifestyle, They adopt a lot of little boys. Why do you think they want to adopt those boys? So that they can love them and raise them into men who grow to have wives and children? Or are they adopting these boys who turn them into sex toys? According to all the police reports and all the things that have been coming out lately, unfortunately, it is the latter. Making this video is not easy. I try to make videos like this in the dead of night, and then I post them, and everybody can decide for themselves how they feel about it. You can like, subscribe, and share if you want to. We have some other topics. We're going to be back here. I'm right-wing Rico. Please share the video if you can. If you're watching this on X, click the link in my bio and follow the YouTube page for our other content and more materials. I mean, it's rough. I couldn't imagine if I had a son and somebody manipulated my son or his mother and took him to do this behind my back. There's no self-respecting father on earth that would ever. This is any father who loves his children. This is their worst nightmare. At this point, you would just have to disown your child and pretend that you never heard of him, because he is gone. This is a man pretending to be a girl who's going to self-delete. You know it's coming. The pain is too much to bear. You have to just write him off. People were complaining about Musk for doing that. What the hell do you expect? Musk is still just a human. Yeah, he has his ways, but he's a man. When you find out your son is gone and they gave him the name you gave him is his dead name now. What are you gonna do? Fight about it? Yeah, no, you just gotta cut it off. Just that's it. If that's what you want to do with yourself because your mother hates me. I made a mistake being with her in the first place. I was young. It was years ago. And this is what you manipulate my child to do. You would have to cut that off. So I understand. I understand completely. I couldn't say I would do anything any different. Unfortunately, couldn't do anything different. This is just the saddest thing I can imagine. And these are adults who are just clapping for it and cheering it on. Pedophiles. There's a whole community of people that are attracted to minors all the way around us. Probably a larger voting base than the conservative or the straight. Probably larger base than all of us combined because they hide in the shadows. But they've become emboldened until Trump came back in office, but they're still poking their heads out so we can find out who they are and we can eventually address this. Okay, I'm right-wing Rico. Like, subscribe, share the video. If you have any comments or you have any thoughts about it, don't be shy, share, and we can talk about it. Thank you, and we'll talk again shortly.
I've been needing to find a new apartment, which has not been easy with credit as bad as mine. Luckily, I found cosigning.com. They connected me with a cosigner who helped me get my dream apartment for me and my dog. I just paid a small fee and was able to move in fast. Get the cosigner you need for the apartment you want. Check out cosigning.com today.